Hey, what's going on, my friends? It's Dave Sharpe and Ryan Halper. What's going on, brother?
What's up, Dave? I'm doing good. How you doing?
Excellent, man. Hey, we are going to be talking about some new Instagram insights directly from the source. No April Fool's jokes here this morning, my friends. This is all business and business as usual. We've got cowboy hats rocking and rolling. We've got good lighting over there on Ryan. I think we're feeling like $1,000,000 this morning. As a matter of fact, I think I asked you backstage how you were doing, and you said you were feeling like $1,000,000. Is that accurate?
I'd say it's pretty accurate. Yeah. And I wish I had remembered that today was April Fool's. I would have planned something good, but I didn't even think about it.
Yeah, well, because we're not really about games around here. So you guys can get all of your games elsewhere. We're going to get down to business here because this is a big question that we often get is, what is shadow banning? And am I shadow banned? And everybody's putting out videos explaining or trying to make sense of the algorithm. And we actually have information directly from the source that we're going to share with you this morning, along with a PDF handout that Ryan prepared for you that is going to give you the exact accurate information about the platform, about shadow banning, about how the algorithm works, and help you to plan better, prepare better, and know exactly how to game the system, if you will, if that's what you want to do. So let's get into it.
Yeah, let's do it. So I'm going to share my screen here and we'll all be able to see this. And basically this was, now I'll tell you where I got these. You can all get the same information I got. This is public stuff. So I didn't have to have an insider connection or anything like that. If you go to Instagram and you go to your professional dashboard, you'll see something called general insights or best practices. It could say one of those two things. And when I was in mine last night, it said new next to it. So I went in and I started finding all these videos right from Instagram talking about a lot of these things here. So I've got this fairly long thing where I just kind of, as I was listening to these videos, there was a lot of long videos in there. I was just typing away all the stuff that was just, I thought was really important, that I thought was actually really, really helpful. So we can kind of dive into it. And right here at the top, I've got the algorithm. So one of the things they said that I thought was interesting is that there's multiple algorithms, and each one of the different functions or methods of posting, if you will, actually have their own unique algorithm dedicated to them. So they started off with stories, and he basically gives you the signals that it looks for a story to get shown in order by importance. And here they are right here. So the most important signal is the viewing history from that creator. So basically what that means is if I'm looking at your stories in the past frequently, I'm going to continue to see them frequently. Then interactions in general, and then how often you engage in messages with the author. So the more you engage with the creator, the more you'll see their stories and the higher that they'll rank. So what this basically means to me is it has nothing to do with following. It has everything to do with how much you actually engage with that specific person that you're talking to. And it looks like Dave's computer took a dive there and it survived. That's good. If that were to happen to me, I'd be throwing it in a dumpster because that's just my luck. Oh man, but it looks like a good bounce back. You're muted, brother.
A cat just literally flew across the room and grabbed my kind of ran essentially into the power cable. So my computer went flying with it. So back to the regularly scheduled program.
We'll have to clip that. That was pretty good. But anyways, so basically what this is telling me in regards to stories specifically and the algorithm and what it looks for, it's looking precisely for how often any particular viewer is interacting with your account or stories. And they did specifically highlight this messaging thing in this section. So they basically said, if you have a history of messaging with this account, you're going to see more of their stories. And it's going to basically predict and order those stories at the top of your feed based on who you interact with the most. But it's also going to look for very specific things that you've interacted with to prioritize that even higher. So in simple terms, that basically means if Dave posts a lot of stories about his lifestyle and I always interact with those and I look at them a couple times and I like them, and I don't really interact with his marketing stuff, then whenever he posts a lifestyle type of story, I'm going to see that. Whereas if he doesn't have any of those up right now, I might see somebody else first, is what that means. So that's your stories algorithm. And, you know, I mean, I'm looking at this and it's like we're expecting this big magic pill, and it's really not. It's kind of what we were suspecting all this time, and it's just now confirmed. So then we get into the feed, and this is mainly designed to keep you updated on your followers and non-followers that are similar to the accounts you follow. So just like this, very similarly, it's going to predict how likely you are to engage based on different signals that you've given to Instagram in the past. Your history of interactions overall. Is the post popular? So once your post, this is sort of like it's pushing the big guys type of thing specifically for the news feed. If your post is gaining traction, it'll start to gain more traction. It's kind of like a snowball rolling down a hill type of thing. And then are you aligned with the author of that post? And then in that order is their importance. That was me typing that in to make sure I told you that. Are you aligned with that author in terms of interest and the topic they talk about in the category? That's mainly what it's looking at. So for these two things, it's really not about overall engagement. It's really primarily based on that individual user, and how much that individual user might interact with you is how it's going to determine who it's going to show that to. So, you know, like when you post a story on a brand new account, it's not really going to get seen. You post a static image on a brand new account, it's not really going to get seen. But when you start to have some of those followers and some of those people engaging with you, even if they're not followers, right? The non-followers were mentioned, but they're engaging with you. Those are the people that are going to see that. So what does that mean? To me, that means I should do most of my nurturing, if not all of my nurturing, inside of these two places. And I should probably approach that from more of a nurturing perspective than just a lead generation perspective. Like, hey, let me just make you aware that I exist. You're probably going to focus more on the assumption that they kind of know who you are or have seen you in the past when you make these posts. Not that that would change them a ton, but something to keep in mind. Now we get into the reels, and then I have the explore feed down here. So for reels, what he straight up said in this video, he said, these are designed just to entertain people. And he said, these are designed to keep people on our app as long as possible. And they will prioritize accounts you have never seen before. In fact, over 95% of the reels you're going to see are from accounts specifically that you've never seen before. Now, it is going to make predictions based on what you've interacted with the past, and then who else interacts with that same post, and then what post did those users interact with. And that seems like how it's making the entire decision. So if I see a reel on my feed and I interact with it, I watch it all the way through, I like that reel, and then, you know, Dave sees that same thing come up in his feed and he watches it all the way through, it's going to now start looking at what else did Dave like to determine what it should show to me. And then it's going to make those predictions based on that. And it's going to try to figure out, okay, is this content that this other creator is looking at something that, or this other user is looking at something that this user is also going to like? And then it's going to start, it just keeps compiling those signals to create the feed that you have right now. This is why with Instagram, it's so fast. When you like search for something or you look at something that you normally don't look at, it's like a new thing for you. All of a sudden you start getting hammered with it really quickly because it's starting to take those signals and actually try to figure out how to show you what you want to see right now. And then these are the signals that it looks for. So watching the reel in full is number one. If you watch a reel in full, that's the number one metric that says, okay, we got to show this person more of this. It also seems like the number one metric that's going to get you more push. So just getting people all the way through your videos is the most important thing. After that is sharing, and then go to the audio page, right? So you want to, how likely you are to watch the reel in full, then share, and then go to the audio page. And what that kind of meant to me was that if you're using audios, you're going to have a little bit more of an advantage because now it's going to use that audio that you used on that reel, and then it's going to go ahead and show it to other people that liked posts with that audio on it. So now finally audios and trending sounds and stuff like that are starting to make a little bit sense in how they might actually play a role in what kind of performance you can get. And then, of course, it looks at how often you interact with a specific person. So it's always still going to give you, for those people that are really, really engaged with your stuff, it's going to keep giving you back to them. It's going to keep putting you back in front of them. So it's always seems to be a factor. Now we got the Explore feed. So it's designed for discovering new content. The main signals the popularity of the post. And next after that, it's going to be your history of interaction with certain topics. And last is your history of interacting with a specific author. This is another one, just like the Reels feed. It's mainly prioritizing things you haven't seen before. And it's meant to be sort of a discovery page is the way they described it. So on the Explore page is where you're probably going to see the most popular stuff on Instagram right now for the topics that you're most interested in, or for the things that you've given that signal that you are interested in. So if you go to your Explore page right now and you look at the stuff that's there, kind of look at it and just see if that makes any sense. For me, it does. So now we get into some of the shadow banning stuff. And the first thing he said right off the bat, that if you pay for ads, it's not going to limit your reach. So you can't get shadow banned by paying for ads. That's like a big myth that goes around. Everybody likes to say, oh, they limit your reach. So you pay for ads and you buy views and then they push this one and that one. He came out pretty much straight up right off the bat and said, that's not true. It's fake. It's made up. That doesn't happen. And he went on to describe that it's in our best interest actually to push your posts because as a business, that's just what's in the best interest for them, is to make sure you get as much a well-deserved organic reach as possible. However, there is shadow banning or reach suppression, as he called it, that will happen if you violate the guidelines, and it will happen across all of your posts. So if you screw up too many times, it's going to be hard to come back. It takes a while for you to then follow the rules enough that they say, okay, this person's trustworthy again. But it's almost kind of like you're breaking a trust barrier, and they're going to say, all right, you know what? You've not followed the rules too many times. So we're going to just suppress your account, and we're not going to recommend you. You're not going to be eligible for recommendation. We're going to let you kind of sit here and just not get any reach. And then he talked about the account status tab. So he seemed to be very adamant that, and I'm always a little bit skeptical, they don't want to tell you things you don't want to hear, but they also don't want to mislead you. So I think it's pretty accurate. But he went on to say that if you go into your account status tab, which you can find in your settings, it will always tell you if there is something suppressing your reach on Instagram. So you can go right in there, and if you have green check marks all the way down, then you should be good. If you don't have green check marks all the way down, it'll tell you what you did wrong, and then it'll tell you specifically what's happening. Like, you can't be recommended on the Reels feed, or you can't be recommended to non-followers, and this is why, right? They'll tell you why. He also acknowledged that the system's not perfect. So he talks about the appeal button that's in there. But he basically says that, hey, we screw up too, just like, anybody else. And we may accidentally give you a violation that you didn't deserve. And if that happens, go in and appeal it. And then you will have a real human. This way, so you will have a human looking at this content at whatever the violation is to see if it's actually a real violation. Then in some of the other sections, so you'll see when you go in there, there's a few sections there. There's one for reach, one for engagement, one for community guidelines, one for monetization. The monetization, I was hoping for something good in there. There wasn't really anything all that exciting, so I don't know that there's not really anything on this list from it. But one thing that I found in there was that collaborating with other creators will boost the reach. So and this is like a stitch, this is a duet, or this is even doing something in person and tagging the other person, and you're both in the video. So when you collaborate, Instagram really likes that, and it will push your content further on both accounts. So like if I go to Dave's house and I make a video with him and he tags me and then I tag him, we're both going to get some additional push and some additional reach. Because Instagram likes that collaboration. So the takeaway here is that if there's anybody, even in our community, that you want to collaborate with, you want to do lives together, you want to make content, even virtual stuff, tag each other on each other's posts, on your posts, the other people. And according to this, theoretically, Now the content's still going to have to be good. You can't just be sitting there looking at the lens, but you should get some additional views for that. You should get an additional push on your reach by doing that. So then they also found that creating original content is something that's always going to be favored over aggregated content. Aggregated basically being non-original stuff that you took and assembled from other sources. So this means royalty free. And then they specifically talked about duplicate content from other accounts that have already been posted on Instagram. It will not be recommended. That was just a straight up like, hey, if you're copying other people's stuff, like you're downloading and re-uploading something that's already been posted, we're not recommending that. You're not going to get views on it. To followers or non-followers, the only way they can see it is by going to your page. And they're always going to favor that original content over aggregated content. So, try to make your content unique. Try to make it the only variation of itself out there. Now, this doesn't mean you can't do trends and stuff, but it means that, you want it to be original in as much as possible. They did specify here that if you make it unique enough, in the term he used was make it, it's obviously been altered in a unique way, then that won't affect if it's recommended. So if you're doing like a reaction where you have the video in a portion of the screen and then you're there talking over it, or you do a reaction after it ends or whatever it is, that'll get pushed. That's valid. That's original stuff. But if you just kind of take that clip and you just post it there as like a repost, then you're not gonna, you're not gonna get that. You're not gonna get that recommendation, and you're not gonna get that push. And this is also why you see so many of those stage clips or speaker clips or podcast clips, that stuff that the person who posted it, like it's a theme page with a whole bunch of them. They didn't create that and film it themselves. They always have some kind of alteration, like it's a split screen with a, somebody, doing something on the bottom, or a bunch of DIY stuff at the bottom, or somebody's cooking something. And then in the top half, you're seeing the people talking, and then that's the clip you're hearing. That's what they're doing to modify it to make it more original. So there's no other post exactly like that one on Instagram. Then they talk about carousels, and carousels will always get more reach than photos because it will deliver the carousel twice if a user doesn't interact. So you almost get like a second chance each time, showing slide 2 first on the second impression. And then they recommended always adding audio to carousels because that's what will allow it to show up in video feeds. So that was pretty interesting. If you add an audio to a carousel, it shows up into a video feed. If you don't, it won't. But also this top piece too is pretty cool because it's basically you get a second chance now, right? So if you post just a static image and somebody scrolls past it and they don't care, if you have a carousel, which is just a image post with a bunch of slides in it, you upload multiple of the same post, then it will try again by delivering the second post first. So to me, the strategy there is that use two hooks, basically. Use a hook on the first one and a hook on the second one. You could even use that the 3 things framework that I talk about all the time, which is hook, story, value, call to action. You have that hook and then you have that story piece, but both of them are kind of designed in a way to grab attention. So that way, if you don't get them on the first one, well, maybe you'll get them on the second one. Then they talked about every post. This is something people ask me about all the time. Every post is evaluated on its own merits, meaning having a low performing or high performing post will have no influence on the performance of other stuff. So if I have a viral video today, my video tomorrow, it's not guaranteed you're going to get any views, or vice versa. If I have a low performing video, you could just kind of forget about it and move on. It's not going to affect the next post from potentially getting a much higher performance than that. Then in another video, they mentioned this was under, I believe, the engagement category. They said shares are the strongest signal for getting more reach, then watch time, then likes and comments. They did have some insights in there about how to get shares, mostly generalized stuff that we've all heard before. Make it so that way it's relatable, make it so people want to send it to a friend, make it so that way they want to send it to a coworker, offer insights that are going to be helpful. So it immediately makes the viewer think of somebody they know, and then, that would trigger the shares. And then after that, watch time matters. So if you get a lot of shares, right, because of something you do early on in the video, and people don't watch the whole thing, based on what this guy was saying, that's going to be enough of an indicator for you to actually start getting a lot of reach. Then they talk about hashtags. And so this was interesting. So you should be using hashtags according to this. So it says hashtags should be used strategically, be very intentional, and only use hashtags relevant to the content you're making. Do not spam them, and do not use hashtags like hashtag Explorer, hashtag Reels, because that will actually suppress your reach, because they consider that spamming. So if you're trying to use these big, broad hashtags that aren't relevant to the post at all, you're actually going to lose reach over that. Whereas you can gain reach by using relevant strategic hashtags on your posts. I was really looking for that, should we pick something that has a certain amount of uses, or, is there should we look at what else is indexed under that hashtag to make the determination? They didn't give us any of that. They just basically said, use relevant hashtags to the content that you made. Hashtags will influence who sees your content. If you use the wrong ones, your content will land in front of the wrong people and your post will underperform. So that was something they specified. They must see a lot of that. But basically, if you do use, hashtag dog on a marketing post, there's a good chance your post is going to show up in front of a lot of people that should not be seeing that post, because it's not something that they want. And now, because you've got the wrong audience, now it's going to underperform because of a hashtag. So this is pretty wild. They said to use 5 relevant hashtags. So there's your answer to that, right? So that's the question, the $1 million question we get all the time. How many hashtags should I use? Use 5 very relevant ones. Ignore all of the use 2 broad ones and 2 small ones and 2 new ones and all this other crap you hear from people that are just sitting in their armchairs. Use 5 very relevant hashtags was what they specifically said to do. And then they did mention broad hashtags can get you more initial views, but they will likely be useless views if you're somebody trying to generate leads or sales for your company. I don't know that this is, that incredible statistic, but they say IG creators with the most growth are posting more than 10 times a month. So they're setting the bar a little low there. I'm going to say post a lot more than that, obviously. We want to post a ton. 10 times a month is nowhere near enough. Then they specify, this is something that I had, been speculating on for a while, but now it's confirmed. Upload in the highest resolution possible. Low resolution content will not be recommended. Then they said, use the camera on the back of your phone if possible. The minimum resolution is 720p and 30 frames per second, and reels must also be well lit. So if you come in with this really dark, low resolution reel, you're not going to get reach. Could be great value, great insights, good content, well put together. But if your quality is really, really bad, then you're not going to get pushed. They also said to make sure you wipe the smudges off your lens. So they specified that. They must get a lot of that, I guess. I don't see it on my feed, and it makes sense because they wouldn't be pushing it. But like, if you're using your front camera, wipe that thing off with your shirt before you film your video. Or if you're using your back one, do the same thing, because those smudges will make a big difference. And then, of course, they talked about, getting in a well-lit area, go outside, film in front of a window, that kind of stuff. The obvious things that'll make your lighting a little bit better. But you want to put a little bit of effort into that, because I guess Instagram's algorithm will pick up on it, and it does make a difference. Reels over 3 minutes will not be recommended to new audiences. So you've got to, I guess we have to be under 180 seconds or 3 minutes on every one of our reels if we want to get a lot of reach. So basically means to me that you can't have a viral video that's over 3 minutes long. So trying to look back, I don't recall that I've seen any recently or on Instagram specifically that I have seen them. I know that there's longer videos on there, but if it's over 3 minutes, it won't be recommended to new audiences. Same thing with watermarks. They won't be recommended to new audiences. They said if you want to put your own logo, like a unique logo from your company on your post, that won't hurt it. But if there's anything that provides an obvious indication for any amount of time that this is reposted stuff, then they're not going to recommend that to new audiences. They're not going to push that video out. So if your TikTok watermark is on there, or some watermark from some other platform that says, hey, this is this is where we've this has been posted in the past, you're not going to get reach. So there's always ways to take these off. So if you're using TikTok, there's a website called snaptik.app. You can go right in there, drop the share link. It'll download your video without the watermark. Or what I like to do is I'll usually film all my clips right in my phone, not in the app. And then when I do that, I can just upload the video in its raw form and throw my text on it again. Or, if I was talking in the video, then all the words are obviously in the video. So it's not really making that much work for me. Now, you're getting higher resolution because a lot of those watermark removal tools will lower that. And there's not going to be any watermarks on there. So that's just an easy way. Posting content's already on Instagram. They reiterated that again. It will not be recommended. Now, this was interesting because they talked about this. They said it one way in a video, and then they said it another way in the comments when they came back to like, hey, let me give you more clarity on this. In the video, he basically said any indication that you are asking for a specific engagement is going to suppress your reach. So, and then they specified in that video by saying, if you tell people to comment a keyword, a number, or an emoji, we will not recommend it to new people. But then in the comments, they said that this doesn't apply to anybody doing lead generation if there's people that are interacting with your post and it's triggering a ManyChat automation and or they're expressing interest in more interaction with you by doing it, then that won't suppress your reach. So I don't know. They kind of said that, and then they went ahead and backpedaled in the comments when a bunch of people started asking questions. So I don't know. I mean, it's something that that's one of those kind of gray areas where I'm like, okay, what does that really mean? So then you need to give me a definition kind of what specifically you meant, like what's considered engagement hacking and what's not, because on one hand, you told me I can't ask for engagement. On the other hand, you told me that I can. Obviously, in that same video, they went into a bunch of strategies on how you can actually get engagement organically, naturally, without asking for it, whatever. But we're direct response marketers, so we need to be able to tell people what to do so we can get that direct response. Then in the comments, you see that they backpedaled a little bit and they said, wait a minute, no, this is still okay. So it's a little interesting. As far as I can tell, the posts where people are saying, comment this keyword and I'll reach out to you, or comment this keyword, they're not getting suppressed. There's plenty of videos that perform really, really well that have that. Even ones that say link in the bio in them, right? They still perform really, really well as far as I can tell. I see them on my feed all the time. So, and they said link in bio themselves in like every single one of these. Get more information from the link in bio in one of these tutorial videos, these explainers that I was watching. So the way I interpret it is, if we have a caption that just says comment this to get started, and there's no other context there, right? So it's like you're just telling them comment this to get started, but you're not saying they're going to get anything specifically. Maybe I would go that extra step and just say comment this, and I will message you to help you with X, right? So you're making it more clear and direct, which you should be doing anyway. It's just going to make your marketing better overall. But this was a little bit confusing. And like I said, you can go in and devise your own interpretation of it. If you want to go into the best practices thing in your professional dashboard, you can find all these videos I was looking at. Instagram, this was an Instagram study they did. Reels between 30 and 90 seconds will get the most engagement. So that's what they're finding. But then again, I think most of the reels I see on Instagram are that have the most views or the most marketing related reels are those 7 to 10 second ones. Obviously longer ones where you're talking, if you can do them well, they'll work really, really well also. But this is something that is at least not my personal experience on Instagram, not only my own personal feed, but also just all the people that I talk to that use Instagram and have been very successful with it. They're not doing, the majority of their videos are under 30 seconds long by a lot. So take that one with a grain of salt. And then another one, this is the end of our PDF here, but another one that I must have forgot to put on here is that Instagram will not suppress your reach by using external platforms. So if you're using something like CapCut to do your editing or some other editor, and then you're bringing it in, that's not something that's going to suppress your post. So that's a myth that's been going around for something. And again, it boils back down to a bunch of people saying a bunch of things on Instagram that sound really, really good so they can get the views, right? They want to get your attention. They want to make stuff that sounds good. They want to, they want you to buy their stuff. So they throw these things out there, but really what it is it's just, regurgitated stuff that they heard from somebody else. They didn't do any studies. They didn't do any experiments. That's something I'm always mega careful of. I only share things, share information, or tell you to do something when I've got some kind of data or evidence that suggests, yeah, okay, this is real stuff. Like this is actually going to be, you know, there's truth behind what I'm saying here, as opposed to, you know, the other people that make videos that might make a video that says, oh, you got to use these types of hashtags. You got to use this type of audio. You got to, you know, you got to edit it in the platform. A lot of that stuff, like we've been saying for so long, it's just not true. So, and here they're kind of, they busted a lot of the myths right themselves right back there in that platform. Now there's a lot of additional things in there that I didn't add on this that might be interesting to you. But I think even with all of this information, I think this gives us some key insights and some good guidance in a lot of specific areas. But you know, this isn't like a, you know, review this checklist before you make a post type of thing. This is like a, you know, you could be aware of this, but ultimately, at the end of the day, what we mean is what we want you to do is just make good quality content consistently, and that's still going to be the thing that's going to push you out and get you more reach. This does provide some good amount of insights around where doing what type of post is going to be the most beneficial. So you can kind of, you know, skip a few things. And this might have identified some obvious problems for you, right? Maybe your reels are going up in low quality, or maybe they're the wrong FPS, which if you're recording an Instagram, it won't be the wrong FPS. Or if you're using a phone, it likely won't be anything other than 30. But maybe there's something in here that is like an obvious technical indicator as to, oh my God, that's why I've been struggling. Maybe you've got watermarks, right? Maybe your reels are too long. So in that sense, I think some information like this is really, really good. But outside of this, you know, it's going to boil down to just, you know, just making good stuff and making sure you're consistent and making sure that your content's of decent quality.
Yeah. This was extremely helpful. And this reminds me of a story that I heard about Amazon and Jeff Bezos, was that he noticed that a lot of times when a memo would get sent out before a meeting, that nobody would read it. And so they would actually, when they had company meetings, they would come in, everybody would get a handout of the memo, and they would all take 20 to 30 minutes before the meeting started to sit there and silently read the memo. And the reason was, again, because he wanted to make sure that everybody got the information. And so this little practice here, all the information aside, reminded me also of that business practice. And as I'm sitting here and, you know, there's so many, you know, I'm sure even some of you, I wonder how many of you had this running, were watching this, but had something else that you were doing and you still didn't get all of the information. Even as I was sitting here listening, you know, I battle myself, my own ADD, my own to-do list, my own kind of, you know, pull to want to open another screen or to start doing something else or multitask. And I intentionally sat here and listened to every single thing that you just read, because it was good information. It was important information. And it was information that if everybody takes and applies, you can really make some significant changes, or you can realize that there's so many distractions out there that it's not worth chasing those little rabbits down those holes that go a lot of times. And I've realized this as I've watched more of Adam, the CEO of Instagram, release more content. You can really follow him. And I wonder, when you were talking, did you mean that he was the one who was in these videos who was describing these updates?
He did a couple of them. There was a few of them he did. There was a mishmash of the different people from the marketing departments, or the algorithm, whatever departments they are. But there's a few different people, all insider Instagram employees. But yeah, he was in a couple of them doing the explanations.
Yeah. You know, he's just a good guy to follow if you're on Instagram, to get that information directly from him. So all good stuff, man. And I'm glad that I took the time to sit here and listen to all of this. You know, there was some important things. I wonder from you guys in the comments, what was the thing that stood out that was most helpful for you? What was clarified that you were wondering about? And what maybe was clarified that you've heard misinformation about? What came up for you? What stood out for you? If you could write down a couple of takeaways from this, of course, you can also get the download. Did you put that in the chat? Where can they get that PDF?
Yep, it's in the comments. I can drop it in there once more, so that way
Okay.
they can get it again. But yeah, just click
So
that
the
link.
Empowerment Alchemist says the watermarks. Definitely the watermarks is a big deal. For me, there's a lot of information. I've seen a lot of people say that if you edit a video in a different platform, you're going to get penalized, and that's real helpful to hear that that's not true. Um, yes, engagement priorities from shares and saves, but specifically shares, right? To watch time. Some of this is new, some of it's not. A lot of the platforms, from what I've come to learn over the years, have been about watch time. Even your own marketing, when you upload videos, for example, video sales letters, VSLs, and you track that watch time inside of a platform like Vimeo or Wistia, which has been pretty much, before social media became this huge place where we got all of our traffic, and we were analyzing so many analytics on like TikTok and Instagram and yada yada, you know, back in my day, I was sort of used to, watching those analytics inside of my VSL, wherever I was hosting my video, Wistia, Vimeo, and being able to kind of see when your watch time dips off in a video can give you a lot of insight into where people are falling off in that video, where it's either getting boring or where it's getting confusing or just where they're becoming exhausted from the length of the video. Which is continuing to get shorter and shorter. That attention span is continuing to get shorter and shorter. Which again, that 60 to 90 second mark, which can be difficult sometimes. I know it can be difficult for me, especially if I'm talking off the top of my head, to actually make a point in a minute. It's not that I can't do it, but it's not my natural flow. I tend to be a little bit more long-winded. Takes me a little bit more to kind of get all the words out and make my point. There's some people who just naturally use less words. Well, some of you in the past may have looked at that as a weakness. In this case, it's a strength, because you can get out your point faster, right? See, there's always a way to reframe things so they're more in your favor. And so, yeah, really great stuff, man. This is a fantastic episode. If you didn't listen to review the PDF, which Ryan dropped in the comments, or re-listen to this again, a quick plug for Project 100X. We are hopefully going to be having Kim on the show tomorrow or this week, and we're going to be going over a lot of recognition, and we're going to be going over what's happening with our Project 100X group, which again, if you're coming in late to that, or you're wondering what the hell is Project 100X Challenge, we have challenged our own affiliates here at Legendary Marketer to post 100 pieces of content each month and do it for 100 days straight. If you feel like, oh, I'm late to the party, you're not. It's a great time to get in and get started. If you feel like you have fallen off and had a bad day or disappeared for a couple of days, it's a great day today to pick up where you left off. Okay, this challenge is not, you're not going to get a grade at the end. That's the thing that you have to realize about owning a business. Nobody's going to come in and give you a grade. You're not trying to pass a test here. You're trying to build just habits and consistency and routine that is going to produce results. And posting every day, creating marketing material, creating marketing content, posting videos, posting carousels, posting written posts, engaging in groups, sending out emails, doing outbound marketing, which means that you're actually cold DMing people or even picking up the phone if you're able to get their phone number. All of these things should be what you're doing at the beginning of your business for as many hours a day as you can. getting out of the behind the scenes, getting ready to get ready, set up kind of mindset, and getting into marketing. This is called legendary marketer, not legendary setup, not legendary get ready to get ready, not legendary product development. You can start by selling other people's products at the beginning of your journey. Now, whether that's you're doing affiliate marketing, for God's sakes, if you're coming in here and you're just learning from us, maybe you sell physical products, maybe you do so. Bottom line is the same principle applies. Marketing, 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 right? That's what moves the needle in your business. It's actually getting your word out there. And for those of you who don't know, even if you want to create a digital product, you want to create a coaching program, you can sell it first and deliver it second. It's what I've done my whole career, is sell something, usually a live training, and then I take that live training and turn it into a product or a course, or then iterate it until, I am clear about it, teach it live until I know exactly what the people want, so I can record it and give them exactly what they want. So it all starts with marketing. So it doesn't matter what you want to do 6 months from now or a year from now. The bottom line is that if you don't have your marketing down, you haven't built the muscle to hit post and to create engaging content, nothing's ever going to happen. And it's not just about content. Everything is marketing material. Sending out emails, DMing or soliciting DMs to you, commenting in groups. A lot of you are missing out on a huge opportunity to, whatever niche you're in, go in and just add valuable comments to post inside of Facebook groups, for example. I mean, you guys are just, feel like I'm a cat. I got a little hairball or something there coming up. A lot of cat activity around here, dude. A lot of you guys are just filming videos, right? Filming videos, posting them, and waiting for something to happen. And it's like, you have to make something happen. That's why traditionally in marketing, people will go into networking groups or BNI groups, or network with other people, or get out there and hand out business cards or flyers and work the streets, knock doors, because that's what generates business oftentimes early on in your business. That's what generates leads. And so a lot of you, although we're using new technology, are not using old timeless principles of, at least at the beginning, until you are the hunted, you need to hunt. You need to be, shaking bushes, beating on doors, leaving valuable comments inside of Facebook groups. I mean, just for example, the power that a great comment on social media, whether it be in a Facebook group or even on an Instagram post, as we're talking about Instagram, the power of a witty comment or a funny comment or a valuable comment can equal followers, can equal people. I mean, a lot of times on big videos that are going viral, you can leave a really awesome comment that's sort of shouting out the creator and giving some credit to the creator, and also, being just helpful and kind of edutainment in the comment. A lot of times the creator will pin your comment. So then you're right up there at the top of the comments, and a lot of people will like your comment and oftentimes just head on over and follow you. But even more specifically, inside of places like Facebook groups, leaving a valuable comment when people are asking questions can lead to people wanting to follow you and be connected with you. So don't just post, even in the spirit of this Instagram updates and clarification that Ryan just went through. Don't let your strategy be posting and sitting back and waiting for something to happen. I even see you guys with the Project 100X challenge. It's like, do I only have to do it's almost like you're asking for credit for a test. Like, what do I have to do to pass the test? We're not going to get graded by us. We're not going to give you a grade at the end. So if you approach it like I'm just checking a box, Do I have to do this in order for it to count as my 3 posts for today? Like, sure. If that's what you want to do, if you want to just post or create one piece and try to post that on multiple platforms and do the bare minimum, yeah, I mean, that's fine. Sure. Right? We're not gonna slap your hand and say, you need to do more. I mean, it's like we're giving you all really in this Project 100X challenge, like almost like a bare minimum challenge. It's like, this is the bare minimum. I know it seems like a stretch for some of you, but it's honestly the bare minimum. And so it's like, if you want to do the bare minimum, and I really do think that 100 pieces of content, and that's why I came up with 100 pieces of content per month. It's because it is the new bare minimum. Sorry to break break that to you or pee on anybody's parade, but it is the bare minimum in 2025. And that's just about social media. That doesn't include sending any emails or anything like that. That's just to stay relevant. And that's for any business, guys. Not just doing affiliate marketing. That's for any business. That's for doctors and lawyers. And I mean, to be relevant why wouldn't you want to when everybody's doing this all day? This is where they're looking. They're not driving around, hey, guys, look at that billboard. I think I'll hire him. They're not doing that. Hey, oh, well, golly gee, look at the sign on that guy's truck. I think the magnet that, like I used to do when I first got started in MLM 16 years ago, I'm going to slap a magnet on the side of my truck and drive around and people are going to call me. I got no calls. I put a sign in my yard because I lived on a made drag. I said, oh, I'll get rich. Every day I woke up and my sign was kicked by a homeless person into the street and run over 5,000 times. The same is true now. It's even more true. It's not only that dadgum bums are going to kick over your sign on the street, but it's that nobody's even going to notice it. Nobody's even going to notice it. So it's the bare minimum. It's the bare minimum. I mean, if you don't want to do, you don't want to do marketing and content creation, get into oil and gas or something. Get into something that just is completely just, go dig for gold or something. You know what I mean?
Job.
Get a job, for God's sakes. Yeah. And then you don't have to worry about it, right? But like, if you want to build a business in 2025, and I don't give a shit, again, if you're doing affiliate marketing or any of the core 4 models, the 100 pieces of content per month is the bare minimum. So don't look at that as the bar that you're trying to reach. Look at that as the bare minimum and raise your bar. That's my goal throughout this challenge. Raise your bar. Raise your tolerance for effort and work. Raise your tolerance for frustration. If you raise your tolerance for those things, meaning you can take more on, you don't get frustrated as easy. Raise your tolerance for what makes you quit or feel like giving up that day. Raise your tolerance for being tired. I'm tired. We're all tired. Everybody's tired. The most successful people in the world were probably the most tired. Being tired's not an excuse for not doing the work anymore. Being tired's not an excuse for not being a good mom or dad. I'm tired. Who's not tired?
You can either be tired right now.
You can either be tired or you can get results, but you right? Actually, you can. There's no better way to say it than you can either have excuses or you can get results, because you can get results and be tired. Life is about living and being tired. Be tired. Embrace being tired. That's what I mean. Raise your tolerance for being tired. Just raise it. I can do hard things. All right, man. Great episode. Awesome information. Ryan dropped it. Drop it one more time in the comments for people to get that PDF. And my friends, join us in Project 100X if you want to. We're inviting and looking for great affiliates right now to partner and help make these last 3 quarters of 2025 excellent for everybody. Of course, if you're not and you're just here to go through curriculum courses, build your business, start an affiliate marketing course, coaching, or events business in a different niche, understand that today's information and every day's information on this Wake Up Legendary show and throughout our courses and community applies. So get in there, make it happen. Ryan, thanks, brother. Appreciate you as always.
Thanks, man. I'll see you later.
Be legendary, my friends. We'll see you back here tomorrow for another episode. Get out of here.